Well, hi, my name is Annie. This is Grand Alienation. If I look like a referee, it's because the National Association of Women in Construction, I just came back from a golf tournament. I sponsored a golf tournament. I sponsored a hole and gave away some prizes and stuff. It was super fun. But I have this idea and it was kind of pressing. So I thought I'll just record it since I just came home, my hair done, my flower in my ear. Anyways, so we want to talk today about reconnection versus reconciling. I think everybody thinks that they're so anxious to reconcile with their kid. I just want to get back together again and let's work on this and everything. But you got to take some steps first. You cannot just jump right in and reconcile because this vacation that you have from your child has been more than a few months, even if it's been just like, a few months. A lot has happened in between that time, and your child decided to stop talking to you or cut off contact because they felt like they tried and tried and tried, and you just are not listening. So this is the last resort, that the only way that they can protect their mental well-being is to say, okay, I cannot talk with you for a while, mom and dad. Okay, so you can't go from that to like just being in love again. You have to work on it, and then there's baby steps. So I follow a bunch of different grandparent influencers, if you will, and I was chatting with one, and she was saying, just show them. I said, well, what my doesn't want me to even email her. I can't even, like, nothing. And I'm like, how are they going to know if I'm like being a better person? And they said to just, you have to demonstrate that you've grown, demonstrate that you've changed. And it's been 2.5 years for me. It's been a long journey, and I've learned a lot about myself, and I've also come to accept responsibility for my part in our vacation. And so I'm going to talk about what you can do. The difference between reconciliation and reconnection. Reconnection is when you have a break like this for an extended period of time. You cannot just go from, like I say, you cannot go from like, I didn't talk to you for like 2-3 years. Whoa, what is that? Oh, it's a reflection from my blinds. You can't just go from not talking to somebody to like being all pally, right? And what that means is, being on like friends and stuff. So how do you get there? Well, it's a matter of trust. You have to build back trust again, because your child has to trust that you're not going to revert back to the person that they took a break from. And as a parent, I have to trust that the first thing I say, she's going to cut me off again. Because this is not, there's a lot of work that goes into working on yourself, and you don't want to I want to make sure that all this work that I'm doing is going to result in us being able to just reconnect. And what that means, or what that looks like, is like when you first like when you thinking about dating somebody, you don't like just dump all your personal stuff in their lap and say, oh, my mom is this one. You're nice at first, right? You just talk about niceties and pleasantries, and it's very surface. And while you're doing this like very superficial kind of conversations, you need to be okay with that, because what happens is you're both checking each other out, just like in dating. You want to make sure that this person is going to be somebody that you can trust and maybe give your heart to. So it's going to be very surface in the beginning, and it needs to be okay. You cannot be like, okay, when are we going to talk about, what happened? Just leave it. Just leave it. If all you're going to do when you reconnect is to just talk about like, oh, did you need for me to babysit? Or, why don't you come over for dinner? Just like superficial kind of stuff. But how do you get to that point? How do you get to that point? So how you get to that point? Did I say my name is Anna and this is Grand Alienation? We're a resource for Grand Alien grandparents. I forgot to say my introduction. Anyways, so how do you get to the point where your kid reaches out because you can't do the reaching? Okay. They have to reach out to you. That's part of the formula, if you will, or the secret. They have to reach out to you. It cannot be forced. It cannot be pushed. So that's one of the things that we do is we want to take the bull by the horns and like, let's fix this. No, you got to just work on yourself. And what that looks like is when you post stuff online, you accept your communication seems a little softer. So instead of being, like I said, like take the bull by the horns, acceptance is the first step. And once you accept responsibility, you accept that this is your child's choice and you have to respect that choice. You let go of control. And there is something that's very magical when you let go of control, when you like accept the fact that your child is an adult and that they can choose their own life. And, like you be a kinder person. The things that you post on Facebook is not what you normally post, which is like complaining or politics or, just some people do a lot of complaining on Facebook. Okay. So Facebook, Instagram, whatever, but we're just talking about Facebook. So you don't be doing a bunch of complaining, just be a lot softer, be a lot kinder, post about journaling or I had this thought this morning, mindfulness, talk about community, maybe some of the things that you've done in your like charity work, or, you went and you, read books at the library for the kids. Like do things that demonstrate that you are a growing individual. And what working on yourself really means. What does that really mean? After family estrangement, that means that I'm being a kinder, more inclusive, softer, not pushy, accepting, all these calm, patient, have a lot of dignity. Don't be spreading all your rubbish on Facebook. Just take a look at your Facebook feed and see what you used to post and just don't do that. Okay. So once you start doing these things, then possibly it could open a door. So that's like the first step is working on yourself and demonstrating that you are working on yourself. And you don't have to post on Facebook. I'm working on myself because I want to get my daughter back. No, you have to do it indirectly. I hope I'm making sense to you guys. So, but I think you kind of get the idea, because what you want to see is that like maybe your cousin messages you like, hey, so-and-so said that, you look like are you going to therapy? Because you're kind of different now. And you don't act differently, you just become different, if that makes sense. So that's like the first step in reconnecting, is that you have to demonstrate that you are a different person. And I go onto the forums and I read things and they say that she has to show that she's growing. I want my mom to be a better person. I wish she could be the mom that I want her to be. Now, when they say something like that, that can be kind of like stabbing. There's that light again. It can be kind of like a stab in the heart when you're like when your kid says, I just wish I want her to be that mom that I always wanted. So why don't you try and be a kinder, more patient and softer version of yourself. And that can be the first step to opening the door. So don't focus on I got to close my blinds. Anyway, You see, when I do like a side thing like that, I always forget what I was talking about. But be a kinder, softer, more inclusive, be that soft mom, because that's what they need. Like when your kids say that they don't want to talk to you no more, again, it's because it's a last resort and they're like raw and broken and hurt. So they want a nice soft pillow to land on when they come back. So why don't you go ahead and be that nice soft pillow? Be that nice soft pillow for them when they come back. Does that make sense? So that's the first step to reconciliation, is being a person that they want to reconnect with. That's all I had to share for today. I hope you learned a few things. Would you share in the comments what you learned? Like maybe share with me some ideas. I think I'm going to do this. Maybe I think I'm going to go and volunteer at the local daycare and do story time. And I think I'm going to help my church collect donations, be a kinder, more giving person. And when you start doing those things, you're going to start becoming that person. So that's all I had to share for today. My name is Annie, and this is Grand Alien Nation. I would hope to see you again soon. Please subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think about our video. Okay, I'll see you guys. Bye.